take the bull by the horns, set these two off against each other, and then it hopefully should reduce the inevitable chaos.
Opponent from Scotland, weighing in at 275 pounds, Drew McIntyre!
McIntyre coming off of his victory over Damian Priest in that Sin City street fight. The Claymore through the steel chair to close out that match, Wade.
I'm still getting over our new ring announcer, Mark Nash, calling it Arr Scotland. Needs a little work. It's Air Scotland. The people of Scotland will not be happy with that. I'll have a chat with young Mark Nash after the show, hopefully before Drew McIntyre gets to it. I'm sorry, I completely forgot your question, Joe. I'm sure it was a good one.
I was mentioning the fact that the victory in that Sin City street fight finished up with a Claymore through a steel chair that I think dropped 64,000 jaws at Allegiant Stadium.
And it's probably dropped Damian Priest's IQ quite a number of digits in the process. One of the most devastating looking Claymores in history. An explosion. Damian Priest's brain sandwiched between a boot and a hard place that led to victory for the man from Air, Drew McIntyre.
What a scene here in Fort Worth. Drew McIntyre, LA Knight. Less than a week ago, they were each in their own massive WrestleMania match. And not even a week later, one central tie that connects them, Knight and McIntyre, and that is the need to be a champion. And tonight, this match is made for the #1 contender slot for Jacob Fatu. Of course, Jacob Fatu, who just defeated LA Knight for that U.S. Championship at WrestleMania 41. Nick Aldis, the general manager here on SmackDown, came out earlier tonight when Drew McIntyre interrupted the exchange between LA Knight and Jacob Fatu and said, "Enough, you two fight tonight."
Let me be clear what we're looking at here. We're looking at two men who are putting a brave face on. These are both walking wounded. McIntyre in that Sin City street fight. And LA Knight, who had 2 matches last week on SmackDown, followed by a hell of a match with Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania 24 hours later. Neither of these two men should be anywhere near a ring this evening. But the prize, the potential prize at least, is so great that it's worth risking it all.
You know, you mentioned the damage that was done in the battles that they had. We had a visit with Drew McIntyre earlier today, and he even said some of his best moments in that victory of the Sin City cost him himself. I mean, the future shock DDT on the steel steps alone, Wade.
Yeah, it's the kind of match, a street fight against such a tough competitor like Damian Priest. You have to risk your own body in pursuit of victory. McIntyre knows full well what victory at WrestleMania entails, and LA Knight knows full well the kind of damage he'll have to incur if he wins this match and then goes on to face Jacob Fatu once again to try and win back that United States Championship.
That was a sensational showcase moment for the U.S. Championship on Saturday night of WrestleMania when Fatu defeated LA Knight. But give Knight credit for the position he was in and the way he took the fight to Fatu as well as McIntyre. You see the athleticism by Knight and then the elbow from behind. There was a moment in that match as he drops down McIntyre and goes into the cover, the lateral press. When the midair BFT was landed, Wade, by LA Knight, Fatu had the jump up moonsault attempt, and somehow, some way, the timing by LA Knight was just spectacular.
Yeah, it was perfection, and in truth, that deserved a victory. Unfortunately for LA Knight in the particular match, Jacob Fatu just bounced too close to the ropes, but it shows you how close the margins are at very top level in WWE between victory and defeat, being a champion and being a loser at WrestleMania. There was virtually nothing in it, and this is getting a little too close.
Little too close with these two powerhouses. Drew able to get out of the way and rolls himself back into the ring.
I mean, it's the kind of match, you've got so much wear and tear on your body already. You want to hit something big as quickly as possible. You know your opponent is weakened, just like you are. Get this over with fast. Last thing you want right now is a long banger of a match.
Oh, McIntyre just sends him flat, and juicy. The barriers shake.
And noticeably, it was those ribs of LA Knight that connected. Those were the ribs that took so much damage last week at both WrestleMania and last week in those two matches on SmackDown. The megastar looking in big trouble here.
That is not to be dismissed. What happened last Friday on SmackDown when LA Knight, as you said, you felt it was poor judgment to take on Solo Sikoa and then go immediately into a tag team match that included Fatu, and Solo was looking to soften him up. Then he goes in against Fatu on Saturday night.
Well, Knight's biggest asset is his confidence, but at times it's his biggest nemesis. Oh my God, a brainbuster.
Oh, from that height and that force with McIntyre coming down.